The left is having a meltdown right now over President Trump, over Maduro, over everything that the Republicans, that Trump administration is actually doing, which is very much positive for the American people. We're going to take a look now at Caroline Levitt on Fox News going scorched earth on Tim Walz, but also we're going to be taking a look at CNN having to admit that Trump is actually helping Americans and he's surging in the polls and in popularity. This is awesome. Let's get into it.
Surprise you what's happening with Tim Walz?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. The scale of the fraud that the Trump administration, with the help of great independent journalists like Nick Shirley, is uncovering right now is surely shocking. But President Trump has been calling out Tim Walz for his incompetence and corrupt leadership for a very long time. And Trump was right about everything. This is another example of that, which is why Governor Walz is dropping out of the race for re-election today. This is a man who can no longer even win the support of the voters within his home state because his policies have failed them. And now the great people of Minnesota, a state that was once known as the land of 10,000 lakes, has been turned into the land of 10,000 Somali schemes because of their governor. And don't forget, this is a guy who was at the top of the Democrat Party's ticket, the number 2. He was Kamala Harris's running mate just about a year ago until President Trump crushed them last November. And it was in large part because the president was calling out this fraud. And so this...
Can you imagine in a parallel universe where Tim Walz won and he actually was the vice president and he was a part of all this Minnesota Somali daycare fraud? Oh my goodness. America would go broke because of him alone.
This has been a day one priority for the Trump administration, Jesse. The Department of Justice has convicted and prosecuted nearly 100 defendants in Minnesota. And because of these new details and this new reporting that has come to light, this is a all hands on deck across the entire government effort. We are surging resources. You saw today the Department of Homeland Security announced we have nearly 2,000 agents from the Homeland Security Investigations Team. The FBI is on the ground, and we're freezing money. HHS cut off funding for child care centers and for daycares. USDA Secretary Rollins has been asking Governor Walz to see the recipients of SNAP in his state. So this is all hands on deck. Rest assured, it's a top priority for President Trump. And he believes that Governor Walz is criminally liable.
And if that is true, Governor Walz, he better run his ass to Somalia or he's going to be facing a really bad series of repercussions. Wow. The American people are not going to be tolerating this anymore, and the American administration is cracking it down. I mean, look at the banner. Trump deploys 2,000 agents to Minneapolis. This is not ending anytime soon. Heading into the golden age of America, getting rid of fraud, and, well, you know, draining the swamp, so to speak.
A recent Washington Post poll finds Americans pretty evenly split on the operation over the weekend. 40% approve, 42% disapprove, 18% are unsure. When it comes to who should decide the future leadership of Venezuela, 94% say the Venezuelan people, 6% say the United States. One thing I have to say is, like, this was a very successful military operation. The idea that 42% disapprove is a higher number than I would think. It says to me that the American people are thinking not just about this operation, but maybe more about also, well, what comes next.
Well, also, it's Trump. I mean, 42% of the American people would oppose it if he cured cancer personally in the Oval Office tonight. I mean, there is a reflexive opposition to Trump. It is the entire platform of the Democratic Party, and to the extent that that's how their leadership tells them to act, that's how the Democratic grassroots are going to see it. You see Democrats today who long came on this network and others and called for Maduro's ouster, demanded it, now saying they oppose the fact that Donald Trump just arrested Maduro. This reflexive opposition to everything Trump does is corrosive of the Democratic Party, and you shouldn't look at these things through that lens. You should look at it and say, highly competent military and law enforcement operation, we got rid of a bad guy, there's a better future for Venezuela, and it's going to inure to the United States' benefit. But, you know, it's Trump, so everything must be opposed. If he's for it,
it's not.
Literally, he could solve cancer. Aliens could be threatening to invade the entire Earth, and Trump could figure out a deal where the aliens are satisfied. Cancer gets solved. Life expectancy goes to 150, 200, and no more poverty. Bada bing, bada boom. Hey, And then everyone's still gonna, or not everybody, but 40% of people are still gonna hate Trump because of, I don't know, Trump derangement syndrome, because of weird cracked out media narratives that spin everything. I mean, at least CNN is now having to admit, okay, yeah, that was a very successful military, military act that took place. Yeah. No, they're running out of excuses, and the tides really are turning.
Okay, U.S. military ousting Maduro. Pre-ousting, what you saw was the clear plurality of Americans opposed at 47%, just 21% support. Come over to this side of the screen. After the ousting, look at that. The support through the roof. Now we're talking about 37%, well within the margin of error right here of the opposition, 38%. It turns out Americans like what they deem to be successful foreign policy operations. And in this case, they view the ousting of Maduro, at least up to this point, as a successful one, and therefore the support way up.
Yeah, before underwater, now basically even. What about the idea of putting Maduro on trial here in the United States?
Yeah, you know, part of the reason why I think that the success number is way up, and you saw it here, what was it? It was 26 points in favor of opposition, and now within the margin of error, is because they simply don't like Nicolas Maduro. And in fact, they believe that he should be on trial for drug trafficking. Look at this, 50% of Americans favor, compared to just 14% who oppose. So there are very few Americans here who oppose it. Even among Democrats, the opposition number is below, get this, just 24%, is below 25%. So this is something that unites Republicans. It divides Democrats. And at this particular point, support for the operation way up. And in terms of those who favor the drug trafficking trial for Maduro, that is a clear plurality.
Yeah, it doesn't really even divide Democrats on the idea of a trial. They all seem to support it by and large. Only 24% oppose it for Democrats. Let's talk.
CNN having to freaking admit that what Trump did was good. Oh my goodness. Oh, come on. They criticized Trump. The radical left criticized Trump for years. Oh, you really admire Maduro's dictatorship. I mean, Walz said that. Biden said that, right? They all accused Trump of doing, or of being good friends with Maduro and admiring that dictatorship. And now he does the opposite. He goes and captures them, fixes Venezuela overnight, increases America's GDP by like 10 to 20 trillion dollars because of the oil. Yeah, no, you can't oppose this. It's done. First of all, it was done in the most successful way that America's ever really done any sort of operation. When have you ever heard of one big superpower? And there's only a few, right? If we look at the world, there's only, Russia, China, and America as superpowers. The rest of the world is second tier or third tier countries. So no real superpower has ever been able to pull something off like this, ever. What, has Putin gone and captured Zelensky? No, of course not. Did America just go and capture the president of Venezuela? Fuck yeah, it was successful. So you can't oppose it. You can't oppose it. Even CNN is turning the tide on this. This is so funny, man. This is so funny. And it's going to continue. And it's going to actually ramp up. I'm not saying he's going to go around and capturing more presidents, but I think there's going to be more operations, getting Greenland for national security. I don't know. Canadian 50%. Who knows where this is going? But we all know that this is going to be very good for America, very good for Americans. And yeah, opposing it means you're just kind of cuckoo. You're out to lunch. You're just hating it for the sake of hating it. I mean, even objectively speaking, this is the Venezuelan stock market. Okay, it's gone up 73% since Maduro was captured. Okay, and since December 23rd, President Trump ramped up pressure on Maduro's government, and the market has gone up 148% in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, even Venezuelan people are profiting off of this. I mean, this is phenomenal. Trump has a gift. Things that he gets involved in turn to gold. Let's keep it going. Let's see where this takes us.
Over the future of Greenland.
One last question, Stephen.
Doesn't make any sense.
One last question. The president was very quick to say that the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, opposition leader Machado in Venezuela, doesn't have the support in Venezuela to become the next president or the interim leader. And I wonder where he got that from, given that her cutout, Gonzalez, won the election last year or 2 years ago, overwhelmingly, 70% of the vote or something like that. Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all Venezuela experts agree, that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me. If you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States, this is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and engaging
know,
these
honestly,
vast
what you're talking about right now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea, and by the way, I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election.
Exactly.
I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked. I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help and leadership, that country will become more prosperous than it has ever been in its whole history. Venezuelans,
but the woman running Venezuela right now is part of the Maduro regime.
Well, there will be conversations, Jake, about all of these guideposts along the way. The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections to be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away, to create these vacuums.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. Went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries. The future of Venezuela, working with America, is going to be so bright and so incredible and so positive, and we'll have a conversation about everything that you raised. But the priority right now, as the president has made clear, is a judicious, thoughtful, careful transition process to secure a great future for Venezuela and to secure a great future for America.
All right.
Let's just take a moment and just acknowledge, Jake, that what we've witnessed under President Trump's leadership this last week is one of the greatest foreign policy and military victories this country has ever had.
Stephen Miller, thank you.
Eat shit, CNN. You want to know why he was so quiet? Because he couldn't say anything. His entire narrative that, America's going to ruin Venezuela and America's going to run the Venezuelan government. No, that's not at all what's happening. They're waiting for the right time. America went in and did their thing, and now they're out and they're letting Venezuela sort of figure it out. And there's probably advisors that are there, either boots on the ground or from a distance. But no, the entire narrative that CNN is trying to push keeps getting debunked live on air. These people look so fucking stupid. It's embarrassing. I have secondhand embarrassment for CNN. But you know what? We're going to keep watching these clips because it's not only embarrassing, it's so funny. Like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.